What is up, guys? Dr.Pep is here, and welcome to a easy kind of video for me. I need to make that YouTube money. But I'm here to kind of explain some text that you can do in Darklords. Sorry, I almost messed that up. It's a Dark World. Uh, Darklords are probably one of my favorite decks ever. I remember first Dark Lord I had was this dude, Darklord Desire, and I was like, oh my god, that's so broken. Because I was, a little scrub. And it's a pretty good card, you tribute it, and then you only lose 1,000 to pop a card. Hey, it was pretty good when you're playing that with your friends. Um, so I'm going to be kind of explaining some text, and as you can see, here's like a little deck profile. It's not perfect, I'm always experimenting, but some text that you can put in to your deck to make it better, I guess. First thing that you should always put in this deck, no matter what, is the Archlord Christia, because it's a level 8. You can special summon it with Superbia. You can like do that, and Superbia. Like, let's say you had an X tab on field, right? You activate its effect. The special summon. I'm pretty yeah. You can special summon this, but that effect doesn't count, so never mind. You can activate like this from your hand, special summon this from the grave, or you can use it with trade in. It's very good in fairy decks in general. It's also a level 8, so triple trade in. A lot of level 8s in this deck. There's 6 that I have, but you can put more in depending on how you play. Anyways, Arcloid Christia, always put it in. This isn't really a tech necessarily. It's just something that I put 3 allure. Most of these are darks except for this, and you're just trying to cycle through really fast. Sometimes you don't even need 3 Superbia. You only need like 1 or 2, maybe. And a lot of these cards you don't really need a whole lot of, because you could just keep special summoning them. And yeah, you see the 3 trade in. Now this is something I put at 3, and I actually really like it at 3. It's Celestial Transformation. And this card I thought was really good because like it's a quick play, and you could set it so it says special summon 1 fairy type monster from your hand. That monster attack is halved and it's destroyed during the end phase. So let's say you have it set. It's your opponent's turn, getting ready to attack. You activate it, special summon a X tab from your hand, activate his effect to special summon another thing. So that thing stays on the field, then gets popped next turn. Activate a spell from your hand, or if you have another one of these in the graveyard, activate it, special summon it again. It's a very good card in my opinion, and I run it at 3 because it's been very helpful in a lot of times that I play. Next is the virus cards. So if we go over here and just type virus and go down, I used to play this very heavy in virusy things, but I feel like Bat Blight Virus is a very good one because a lot of decks have 1,500 or less defense, and most of these have 2,000 or more. Let's see, I'm trying to find one that doesn't. Except for the level 3 one, all of them have 2,000 or more defense, which I think is the requirement. Yes. So all of these you can use for Bat Blight Virus. Weird name. I like Shadow Spread Virus a lot more. It's very good. I like it. You can put it at 3, take something down like the Celestial Transformation. It's your choice. Um, by the way, guys, if you want to see duels with this deck, it does do pretty well. I'm still working on it, but it's doing pretty well so far. So yeah, this is the virus cards in general are pretty good. I don't like this one, the Deck Devastation Virus. It just doesn't seem to be as good because it's only 1,500 or less attack, and a lot of monsters have more than that. So you can kind of experiment with it a little bit. And also this one, I mean, well, I don't know why you wouldn't put it in. Rip Runny, wish it was that more, but this card is very good. Um, it's really good. You should put it in. 2,500 more attacks, so that's a little harder to do. You can do X tab, you do Teslop, can't. You can do Superbia. You could do Zerato. You can't do that. You could do that, but the one that you can't do is this one. Mdisius, Mdusk. Okay, it says it down there, Mdusk. Can't do him, which kind of does suck, but uh, it's still a good card. This is still a great card to put in, and I feel like those are good little text to put in. So if you go down here, I don't recommend you put the Darklord Desire in the side deck. These are just things that I wanted to go through. You put 3 Tezcatlipoca. I don't. I don't know why I don't. There's probably reasons. Another good tech for this deck is Dark Grepher. So if you don't know his effect, you can discard 1 level 5 or higher dark monster, special summon this card from the hand. So you discard basically this entire deck. And then once per turn, you can discard 1 dark monster from your hand and send a dark monster from your deck. Now you'd only really want this card at like 1 or 2 maybe, because if you have this at 3 and you just keep discarding and sending things to the graveyard, I mean, yeah, it thins out your deck, but you still need a spell in your hand for this to be any worthwhile. So in theory, what you would want to do is you'd have this and like this in your hand. You'd activate this, send this, activate this again, send something else, and an X tab. Then you would activate this, special summoning this, and the X tab, activating X tab to special summon the other thing, like Zerato. So it could potentially be very good, but it's a little risky to run. So I'd recommend if you are gonna run Dark Grepher, run it at maybe 1 or 2 maybe, but don't run it at 3. I think that's a little not so good. Maxi, of course, is just a great card. Also, I will also kind of go over the extra deck a little bit because I need to make this past 10 minutes, and we're 6 minutes in. Another good tech is Advanced Draw. So you tribute 1 face-up level 8 or higher monster to draw 2 cards. Usually you chain it with, you'd go along with trade-ins. So you'd have, like, triple trade-in and double Advanced Draw. It's really easy to get level 8 or higher. Most of the monsters in here are level 8 or higher, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 cards out of the 18 monsters are level 8 or higher. It's just not the best, because if you don't have the special summon, it's not worth it. But it's an interesting thing. You can also do Dark World Dealings, because this deck doesn't really get punished for discarding monsters, necessarily, or discarding your spells, like the Altars or the casting out of the Darklords. It kind of sometimes benefits. I'd recommend running this at 3 if you're going to run it at all, because it's really not worth it running at 1 or 2. So if you're going for a really fast deck, you could take out the Celestial and do Dark World Dealings, draw 1, discard 1, draw 1, discard 1. And you can kind of move through your deck a lot faster. Just trade-ins, advanced draws, and Dark World Dealings with the supports. Maybe run this one at 2. And keep it, if you're just trying to move really fast throughout your deck. Of course, Allures. Next tech that you could put into Darklords is Valhalla. Hall of the Fallen. Sorry, I have a stutter sometimes, and it's just that's how I feel. So this card states, once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 fairy type monster from your hand. It's a continuous spell. It's really good because you can just kind of, if you don't have any of the spells or traps in your hand, and you just have this, you use its effect, special summon an X tab or something, and at least you have something on the field, And so it's okay. I recommend running it if you are going to run it at like 1, not at 1, more like at 2. 2 seems pretty good. 3 is a little excessive. 2 is pretty good, so at least you can get it. I just think it's a pretty good card. I used to run it, but I've been kind of experimenting a lot, so I've been taking things in and out, in and out. Like, I took this out quite a bit of times, the Temptation, but it can be pretty useful. And yeah. Called the Haunted, that it was used in old school Darklords a lot. It's kind of meh now because you have this, and this is way better. But you can run it if you want. Also, I want to talk about Dark Illusion. Now, this card states, negate the effect of a spell, trap, or effect that targets a face-up dark monster you control, and destroy that card. So, hold on, I'm looking up something real quick. Dark monster. Okay. So this card can be pretty useful against decks that target. So you can put this at 2 in your extra on your side deck, and if your opponent's deck targets a lot, which not many decks do now, you can kind of it's okay. It's not the best by any means, but putting it at 2 in your side deck, if your opponent's deck targets a lot and it's just screwing your deck over, you can use this. So like you can, okay. So like your opponent targets, let's say, I don't know, I like X-Tab, it's very easy to say. It's even though it says X-Shell, I'm calling it X-Tab because that's what it is, that's what it do. You have this set, the opponent targets it, you activate it, activate X-Tab's effects right after, special summon another card, and then that's negated and destroyed. It's a pretty good card. It's not the best necessarily, but if you do need a lot more protection, you could also put this in your extra deck, or your side deck at 2, and that kind of just helps. Also, there's a couple things that I want to talk about here, and that's why I had to look up Dark Monsters, because I forgot to put it on my list. Magical Contractor, it's a pretty good card, especially if you're not mirror matching. You can add one spell card from your hand to your opponent's hand, so you'd probably add something that would not be useful to their deck, like let's say you're versing ABCs, you'd give them an Allure of Darkness, they're not going to be able to use it, so they're having wasted hand space and that kind of stuff. Even though it is a free card, it's meh. This card isn't the best, but it can be helpful. And you can add one level 7 or 8 Dark Monsters from your hand, or from your deck to the hand. So you can add this dude right here, or these guys right here, which is pretty helpful if you have a trade in your hand and you add the level 8, stuff like that. And also another draw card that I wanted to mention before I end this video, because it's pushing a little longer than I wanted it to, is the beginning of the end. Now this card states, activate only if there's 7 or more dark monsters in your graveyard. Remove 5 dark monsters from play to draw 3 cards. It's very, it's very meh. If you were ever to put this in your deck, 1. That's it. It's a good draw card in some scenarios, but 5 monsters, that's a lot to banish. Even though all of y'all like freaking... I didn't really like this card. What is it called? Of Pot of Desires. I don't really like Pot of Desires. That's a lot of cards that can be very useful. Like, I could banish most of my monsters and be fucked. So I've never really liked Pot of Desires. I don't really like banishing my cards, even though I have a lure. It's just one card, so it kind of makes me feel a little better about myself. And yeah, that's really all the tech cards that I had to say. If you really want to put beginning of the end, go ahead. I'm also very experimenting with this. I am trying some new things that I do want to try out. Oh, also you can put some of the Phantom Knight cards in, just letting you know, and that can be pretty useful. And yeah, thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you guys have any tech cards to put in this deck, leave it down in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice day.